Let's see what I got in this treasure chest. Oh, it's a movie worse than Scream 2022. Uncharted! This is the movie based on the video game franchise directed by Ruben Fleischer, the man that directed the Zombieland movies and the Venom movies. Now, I wish that one of the other directors that was working on this movie got the final cut to finish this film instead of Ruben Fleischer, because this final cut that we got sucks. The other directors that were working on this film were David O. Russell, the director of Silver Linings Playbook. He had Neil Berger, who's a very good director, Seth Gordon, Sean Levy, Dan Trachtenberg, who I believe directed 10 Cloverfield Lane. That was a really great movie. He probably could have made a great film out of this material. And Travis Knight was the last director before it went to the director that we got, which was Ruben Fleischer. Now, the reason why I went through all these directors is because the executive producer is the man that interfered so much in Sam Raimi's vision of Spider-Man 3, Avi Arad, and has been in charge of the Spider-Man movies ever since, pretty much, as producer. I hate this guy. I really, really hate Avi Arad. He's one of the worst producers at Sony, but things are the way they are. I mean, I wish Sony would just fire him, but he's the reason why Tom Holland is the one playing Nathan Drake instead of Nathan Fillion or Mark Wahlberg. I'm sure some people wanted Mark Wahlberg to be the one since they heard that he was one of the first choices to be picked. And now he's Nathan Drake's mentor, Sully, Victor Sullivan. And this movie, Nathan Drake and Victor Sullivan, Sully, are going on this treasure hunt to find the lost ships from Magellan's voyage around the world. There's this villain played by Antonio Banderas named Santiago, who's also going after the treasure, and there's a secondary villain also going after the treasure named Braddock, played by one of the actresses from the Sabrina Teenage Witch Netflix series. And then you'll have the woman that is played up to be Nathan's love interest, Chloe Fraser, played by Sophia Ali. And that's pretty much our cast. So let's get into this movie and why I hated it, even though I am somebody that has never even played the games. Yeah, I can tell a bad movie when I see it, even without playing the damn source material. Now, I like Tom Holland. I think he's a very good actor. I like Mark Wahlberg when he has the right material and when he's actually putting in a good performance. But this movie was not good. The acting really wasn't all that good. There were times when the chemistry between Tom and Mark weren't all that great. And sometimes the chemistry was good, sometimes the chemistry was not, so it wasn't that consistent. And then you have the action scenes in the treasure hunting. The treasure hunting scenes were actually pretty good. I like the treasure hunting scenes a lot. I did like the scenes where you have Tom Holland as a bartender. Those scenes I actually found to be pretty cool. And I thought the actress playing Chloe was very good in the movie. I did like Antonio Banderas until something happens to him which really, really upsets me and puts the other villain, Braddock, in control as the main villain of the movie. And that really disappointed me. I don't want to spoil what happens, but you'll find out when you see the movie, if you decide to see it. And personally, I recommend not seeing this movie. The CG and the cinematography was pretty good within the movie. The shots and everything were done pretty well, but really this movie just wasn't good. I definitely think if they picked a different lead actor to play the character, Tom Hardy might have been a great choice to play Nathan Drake. I mean, he looks like the character from what I've seen pictures of from the video game. And you could have gotten Bryan Cranston to play Victor Sullivan. I mean, he looks like Sully, but that's not what they did. Nor did they listen to the fan film that was put out on the internet of Nathan Fillion playing the character. You know, it is what it is. This is the piece of garbage that we got, obviously, because Avi Arad wanted to have a long-lasting franchise if this movie was a success. And chances are this movie's not going to be a success. The movie actually opens with a logo to give the idea that maybe this is going to be the start of a PlayStation cinematic universe. Really? Like, how are you going to do that? How is that going to even make sense? Chances are that's not even going to get off the ground. After how bad this movie is. The critic score is 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is actually 89% the last time I checked. Maybe it's a little bit higher or lower, I'm not sure. But I'm like scratching my head, like what movie did the audience that gave that rating was watching? I mean, seriously? This movie sucks. I mean, you would think the audience would be the people that actually played the video game. So that makes no sense to me. One of the dumbest action scenes in this movie happens in a Papa John's of all places. Really? Talk about obscure product placement. That is so dumb. That's like having the opening scene in Temple of Doom happen in a Wendy's or a pizza place for the club opening scene. Really? That's so dumb. I mean, this is stupid. If you're going to do product placement, you gotta have it feel natural, not to be forced. Really, overall, this movie just wasn't good. And I was really disappointed with this movie. Not that I was expecting this movie to be good, because from what I was hearing, I was expecting this movie to be pretty bad. But to be even worse than the Scream movie, that is pretty shocking, but then again, not too shocking. I kind of figured it was going to be worse than Scream. But to hear all these other directors that could have worked on it and could have given us the final cut of this movie is even more shocking, because all these other directors are much better than Ruben Fleischer and probably could have given us a much better movie in the end, but we'll never know now. Now will we? Thank you so much, Addy, for making sure that didn't happen and giving us this piece of garbage. And I think I'm starting to hate Ruben Fleischer, even though I do like the Zombieland movies that he did. I'm starting to think he's not that good of a director either now. Mark Wahlberg, oh man, was he bad as Sully? He was just basically being Mark Wahlberg. He wasn't really being a character, really. He was just being himself. And maybe that's because his heart wasn't really in it, since he wasn't playing the lead. So he just did the best with what he had, really. This just wasn't a good movie. I give this movie an F. It's garbage. Don't bother seeing it. And that's all I gotta say for Uncharted.